world stage in Toastmasters and offers us some guidance for dealing with significant opportunities in our lives. James Jeffrey, your world-changing moment, James Jeffrey.
In 1961, President John F. Kennedy made a bold statement. It was prophetic. He said, "Within the next decade, we are going to put a man on the moon." And although he did not live to see it, 8 short years later, Neil Armstrong gave us a world-changing message. When he stepped onto the surface of the moon and said, "One small step for man, and one giant leap for mankind." Martin Luther King, the great civil rights activist, Baptist preacher, gave us a world-changing message when he talked about nonviolence, peace, justice for all people. And through his lifetime, we were able to see the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act. World-changing messages come before world-changing moments. And his words were prophetic when he stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and he said, "I hope to see a day where my 4 children will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And in 2008, millions of Americans judged a Barack Hussein Obama not by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character, and made part of Martin Luther King's dream come true in a world-changing moment by electing him as president. In 1987, then President Ronald Reagan stood on one side of a wall that divided friends and families and loved ones, a nation. And he gave a world-changing message in which he said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." And 2 short years later, that wall came tumbling down. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and world changers. World-changing moments are often preceded by world-changing messages, where someone has the courage to not only have a dream or a vision, but to speak that vision into reality, to share that vision with others, to motivate, inspire, and encourage them to take action. World-changing messages become world-changing moments. In 2013, I joined a world-changing organization. Perhaps you've heard of it. Toastmasters. I had been speaking in front of audiences since I was a little boy. I've been doing corporate training for the last 20 years. Holding a room for 5 to 6 hours is not a big feat for me. But holding a room for 5 to 6 minutes, that was something different. So in spite of all my experience, I came here to learn something. And I did. And along the way, someone said, "Are you going to enter the contest?" "What contest?" "Oh, you know, we have contests in Toastmasters." "No, tell me more." Long story short, over the next 3 years, I participated in a variety of contests and twice found myself on the world stage, the finals of the Toastmasters World Championships of Public Speaking, sharing what I thought was a world-changing message in a world-changing moment. Now, what does it take to get there? Well, number one, you need to join Toastmasters. Be a member in good standing, be in a club in good standing, and then have something to say. Have something to say. You have something to say, don't you? Right? I know you have something to say. I heard you say things. You have something to say, don't you? We all have something to say, no matter how young you are or how old you are. So have something to say. Speak your vision, speak your dream into the world. Do it with passion, with gusto, because there is an eager audience waiting to hear it. I got to do that twice. And I realized that not only do you have to follow the rules of Toastmasters, have at least 6 speeches under your belt from the Competent Communicator Manual. I'm not sure what the requirements are in Pathways these days. 2 levels completed in pathways. Once you've done that, then you compete in your club contest, and then you just have to keep winning. Your club, your area, the division, the district, and now I believe you have to submit a videotape, and that's reviewed by a group of people sitting somewhere, and they decide who the semifinalists are, and then they get to show up and compete, and then if you win that, then you get to be on the big stage in your world-changing moment, giving your world-changing message. I've won a lot of awards, trophies, certificates, medals, etc. For me, it was never about that. It was always about the opportunity to plant a seed in someone's mind, to motivate or inspire someone, to share a message that was personal and impactful to me, and maybe it would be impactful to someone else. And winning at each level just gave you the opportunity to share that message with more and more people. Until finally, in Kuala Lumpur, the first year I made it to the finals, I'm standing on a big stage, a really big stage, in front of about 2,500 people, sharing a message about the greatest power, which I said was the power to make a decision. Everything in your life is on the other side of a decision. I knew I had planted seeds when, after I had won the semifinals, I was standing out in the lobby with my trophy, and some people from the Philippines came by and they said, "Oh, Mr. Up Yours guy, Mr. Up Yours guy," because that was the message in my speech, up yours. It's an invitation, not an insult. It's on YouTube, you can find it. But I knew I had reached people because people from around the globe I didn't even know came up to me and they were quoting me. And I think some people still do, for bad or for worse. The next year, I got to repeat that and be in front of about 3,000 people on a big stage in Las Vegas, sharing a message of personal empowerment again. And for some people, when I say things like world-changing message or world-changing moment, you might think, oh, a giant stage in front of thousands of people, millions of people hearing your speech. Who am I to dream so big? That could never happen to me. Why not? Why not you? Why not you? Why not you? If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. Just got to prepare, follow the rules, join the club, keep winning, and have something to say. For some people, it's hard to hold the idea of a world-changing message because you think, who am I to change the world? Let me remind you, the world can be as big or as small as you imagine. Sometimes the world-changing message that you give is when you look at your child at the end of the day and you say, "Daughter, I'm proud of you." That's a world-changing message to her. And in that moment, her world changes because she is now filled with pride, because she is recognized and appreciated by the parent. Sometimes that world-changing message is when you say, you know what, I can't bear this by myself. I need help. And by demonstrating the courage, asking for the help that you need, you're surprised because people show up to help you. And as you demonstrate that courage in asking for help, that allows others to find the courage within them to ask for help too. Your world-changing message of help became a world-changing moment for others. Sometimes it happens without any forethought or intention. You hold the door open for someone, an act of kindness. You help someone with the groceries to their car, that selfless act of kindness. And that may reinstill some sense of good and hope in that person who, after listening to countless news stories, realized or thought maybe that all hope was lost in the world. And then you showed up being kind. I've been trying to reconcile fate and free will for a long time. You know, fate is the idea that nothing you do matters because it's already mapped out. And free will is the idea that everything you do matters because your choices make a difference. And your future is only determined by the choices you make in this moment. Well, can they both be true? I read a book by Richard Bach called One, and he talked about there are an infinite number of possible futures, and they've all been mapped out. And based on your choice in any moment, that will lead you to one path. And down that path is whatever is at the end of that path. And if you don't like that path, guess what? You get to make a different choice and follow a different path. That's how I reconcile faith and free will. So what world am I trying to change? The world that I live in. My world? Maybe your world. How do I do that? By making choices, by exploring different paths, by bringing a little more kindness and peace and love and joy to whichever path I happen to choose. Because no matter where I go, I know that there is someone there for me to learn from. There's someone there for me to perhaps help. I know that everything I say has the power to change not only my world, but someone else's world. And every encounter I have with someone has the power to change my world too. So ladies and gentlemen, whatever it is you want to have, do, or be in life, it is possible for you to have, to do, or to be that. You have to prepare yourself. Study, work hard, work together, collaborate with others. Put in the time and the effort. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Do the best that you can. Knowing your best fluctuates. You have your good days, and you have your not so good days. The bottom line, keep showing up. Keep showing up. Somewhere right now, there's a person who is dreaming of a better world. They're imagining what it could be like. Freedom and justice and equality for all people, regardless of gender, regardless of age, regardless of their status in life. And some people are actually planting seeds, and they're starting to build that world. And I think some of those people are right here. And you get to be the beneficiary of that when you hear some of these young people speak a little later, because they're going to share some stories with you, some of them funny, some of them precious, but they're sharing their world-changing message. And in that moment, perhaps you will experience a world-changing moment. Adam Toastmaster.